Shalom, and welcome to Tabgha. Tabgha is located on the northwestern shore of the Sea of Galilee, directly next door to the Church of Peter's Primacy. The site's name comes from the Greek name Tabgha, which translates Seven Springs. Later it was shortened to Tabgha. The first church at Tabgha was built in 350 AD. In 480 AD the church was dismantled and a larger church was built. This church was destroyed in 614 AD. The current church was built in 1981 after the remains of the 5th century church were found by accident. The church at Tabgha is a traditional site where Jesus fed the multitude, using only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. How can we be for certain that this is where Jesus fed the multitude? Tradition says this is the place that it happened. That tradition would have been passed down from generation to generation over the 300 years that passed from the time of the miracle until the first church was built. We must remember that there was 5,000 men at this miracle, not counting women and children. This was more people than any one city during this time. So there would have been people from this whole area who would have witnessed this and told their children and grandchildren where it happened. Mark 6, starting in verse 30. The apostles gathered around Jesus and reported to him all that they had done and taught. Then because so many people were coming and going that they did not even have a chance to eat, he said to them, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." So they went away by themselves in a boat to a solitary place. But many who saw them leaving recognized them and ran on foot from all the towns and got there ahead of them. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them, because they were like sheep without a shepherd. So he began teaching them many things. By this time it was late in the day, so his disciples came to him. "This is a remote place," they said, "and it's already very late. Send the people away so that they can go to the surrounding countryside and villages and buy themselves something to eat." But he answered, "You give them something to eat." They said to him, "That would take more than half a year's wages. Are we to go and spend that much on bread and give it to them to eat?" "How many loaves do you have?" he asked. "Go and see." When they found out, they said, 5 and 2 fish. Then Jesus directed them to have all the people sit down in groups on the green grass. So they sat down in groups of hundreds and fifties. Taking the 5 loaves and 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke the loaves. Then he gave them to the disciples and distributed to the people. He also divided the 2 fish among them all. They all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces of bread and fish. The number of the men who had eaten was 5,000. Once again, we must remember that numbers in the Bible are not there just by happenstance. This feeding of the multitude took place on the western shore of the Sea of Galilee, which was the Jewish side of the lake during this miracle. There was 12 baskets of food left over, which aligns with the 12 tribes of Israel. When Jesus traveled to the other side of the lake, the pagan side of the lake, and performed that feeding of the multitude, there was 7 baskets left over, which aligned with the 7 nations of Gentiles that were represented in Israel at the time of the miracle. Through the 2 miracles of the feeding of the multitudes, Jesus is showing that he did not just come for the Jews or for the Gentiles, but for the world as a whole. This is a depiction of a Nilometer. It would have been used in Egypt to measure the depth of the Nile. The Nilometer was placed in the church because the builder of the 5th century church was originally from Egypt, so he brought a lot of flora and fauna, as well as the Nilometer, into the mosaics of the church. All of the colorful mosaics that you see in the church are original to the 5th century church. All the black and white mosaics come from the 1980s church. Thank you for exploring Tabgha with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you at the next site.